Blog Talk Radio.
The purple angel, oh purple angel, you're next to me. Purple angel, oh purple angel, you're next to me. You're next to me. You're next to me.
Well, hi, everyone, and welcome to Alzheimer Speaks Radio. I'm your host and founder of Alzheimer Speaks, Lori LeBay. For those of you that are new to our show, I just want to give you a little background on Alzheimer Speaks because we're much more than just a radio show. We have a resource directory where you can search to find information on different aspects of dementia and caregiving. We have a very active blog, a YouTube channel. We do Dementia Chats, which is a webinar that we do twice a month that is free to the public and to professionals alike. And on Dementia Chats, our experts are those living with the disease. So it's really enlightening, great insights as to how to become more dementia friendly. How I got into this was my mom was on this journey for 30 years, and she just passed away a year ago, the end of February. So it's been quite the experience. But through my journey with my mother, I have really come to believe that, we can make a difference by joining forces and sharing knowledge and just having these everyday comfortable conversations about life with dementia. I really believe that's the only way we're going to remove the stigmas attached to memory loss and cognitive impairment and help those diagnosed with the disease live with purpose and have fulfilled lives as well as their care partners. Everybody deserves that. At our core, we know and feel really strongly that collaboratively that we're going to win this battle. And it may take us a little bit of time, but we are definitely making headway. Alzheimer Speaks was honored by ShareCare and Dr. Oz as the #1 influencer online regarding Alzheimer's. And I say that not to pat ourselves on the back, but to pat each of you and give you a big hug and say thanks, because that happened because of your likes and your shares. And again, I think by doing that, what we are all doing is creating a dementia-friendly environment, one where information is readily available, so when people are in need, they'll be able to find it. It's a very simple thing, but there are so many people in our if it's our Google circles, if it's our Facebook friends, if it's our LinkedIn colleagues, it doesn't make any difference. There are so many people that still won't talk about this disease, and we have to raise the bar. We have to make things better for people living with this disease. It's really the only way that we're going to truly be able to make a difference. As always on our show, we invite you to join the conversation. That's very simple to do. You can utilize your chat box and talk to us that way, or we always love you to call in live at 714-364-4757. Again, that's 714-364-4757. And join the conversation. Tell us, today we're going to be talking about Dementia Friendly Initiatives. So tell us, what you're seeing out there. What are your ideas, or maybe what are your projects? We'd love to hear it all. Now, before I introduce our first guest, I always love to give a shout-out to certain organizations and groups. And the first one that I want to give a big shout-out to is the Purple Angel Project, and Norm McNamara and Jane Moore over in the UK that started this initiative Absolutely incredible. It is in so many countries. They have over, I think, 350 ambassadors around the world, and they've done this all with no budget. They have designed a global symbol that people are embracing and helping unite them in this dementia-friendly mode around the world. And so kudos to them. If you're looking for more information here in the U.S. on the Purple Angel program, Alzheimer's Speaks is the official launch pad for that. So just go to alzheimerspeaks.com and you can go to our About page and you will see a tab on the Purple Angel. It'll show you how you can use it and how you can get the information to move forward. It costs you nothing. And takes very little time, but has big impact, as Norms and Jane have proven. Also would like to give a shout out to Alzheimer's Disease International. Many people don't know about this organization, but it's important that you do. You see, Alzheimer's Disease International is the organization of all the Alzheimer's associations around the world. So many times people are looking for information or an association in their area. If you just go to ADI or Alzheimer's Disease International, you'll be able to find that information simply. You'll also get great global updates on what is going on. They've got some wonderful resources there. So, please check out ADI. They really do a wonderful job. Another group that I just highly respect is the Alzheimer's Research and Prevention Foundation. And what they do is they really take an alternative look at the disease. And so they come at it from a more holistic approach. So if you go there, you're going to find information on diet and exercise and meditation. And for many people, that's an alternative that they're looking for, but they're not quite sure how to apply things. With that, here in Minnesota, we have a great organization. Excuse me, I've got a frog in my throat. We have a great organization called Health Star Home Health. They are absolutely on fire. They are very different because they're really positioning themselves to work with people with dementia. In fact, they've trained their staff to be what they call Alzheimer's whisperers, and that information they share with the people who hire them. So they teach the families how to easily and better engage with people with dementia, which is a really big difference from many other companies out there. Some people are dealing with specific types of dementia, which might be Lewy body or frontal temporal lobe dementia. Both of those dementias have national organizations. So check out the Lewy Body Association or the Association for Frontal Temporal Degeneration. And there you can get specifics on what it is that you really are dealing with in terms of symptoms, because all dementias are a little bit different, and some people have multiple diagnoses. So it's important to really be able to tap into what is going to work for you. And then one of the other signs with dementia, or symptoms, I should say, can be problems with speech. And the National Aphasia Association is just a wonderful, wonderful resource for people. And aphasia is spelled A-P-H-A-S-I-A. Again, that's A-P-H-A-S-I-A. Fantastic resource. On the lighter side, there is information on music, and Alzheimer's Music Connect is absolutely fabulous. I'm a big believer in music to help people connect, and they just do a wonderful job. Actually, they have a technology with a patent pending that is supposed to help people engage up to 3 hours longer after listening to their music. Their collection of music is quite varied, and I think you'll find something that's going to fit your needs there. Then there is Puzzle with Me that Jane Snyder developed, which has puzzles that are age appropriate, bigger pieces, and fewer pieces to put together so that they are actually something that is doable for somebody with this disease. And Jiminy Wicket, that is a croquet game that can be used for education and fun. And James Creasy and his family developed this game when their dad had Alzheimer's. And I have been able to play that game with our Memory Cafe and was honored to go out to New York when he had a big kickoff out there. But he's doing some really cool things in terms of matching up memory care units and schools to play this game on a one-on-one. It's a great way to build community and just make connections. Last, I just want to mention is Dementia Action Alliance. This is a new group here in the U.S. that is really trying to influence our dementia care culture and is working really strongly with NAPA, which is the National Alzheimer's Plan Act. So check that out, and I guess that's it for all my little housekeeping stuff today. I'll go ahead and pull in our guest here in just a minute. Let me introduce her first. Her name is Edwina Hoyle, and she is the Executive Director at Memory Matters, which is located in South Carolina. She came to Low Country in about 2002 by the way of England. That's quite the route. And she is a Pittsburgher at heart. She was born and raised, and she still has some of that Steeler DNA in her, as I have been told every Pittsburgh person that I know says the same thing. It's kind of funny. She is known as Eddie, and she is one of 6 children. And if I'm reading this correctly, she also is a twin. She earned her degree at Marquette University, where she studied political science and journalism. And she states that, most folks aren't blessed to really find a niche, a place where they can really flourish and be all they can be in the workforce. And she really feels that she found that 20 years ago. And I'm not quite sure why we're getting this echo, because we weren't before. So, Eddie, it has something to do with your phone. Are you on speaker? Eddie?
Hello?
Let's see. Let me try again. Okay, we'll try it again. I don't
Hello?
know what the deal. Yep. Are you there, Eddie?
Yes, I am.
Okay. I'm not quite sure
hello?
what that was. Hello? I can
Hello?
hear you.
Okay, great.
Okay. So we must we must have a delay, which could be due to the snowstorm here in Minnesota. So we'll just have to take a little extra time, and so that we don't talk over one another, is my thought on that. So Eddie, can you tell us a little bit about, first of all, I always ask people, have you been personally touched by dementia or Alzheimer's? Is it in your family at all?
My grandmother had Alzheimer's, but of course back then it didn't have a name. She was 95 when she died, and but she was displaying all the symptoms much earlier than that. But way back when, of course, they didn't have a name for it, and it's only in hindsight that I can say I believe it was Alzheimer's.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that happens so often back then. It's, things weren't diagnosed, and they're still not diagnosed very well today, though we are getting better. We still have a long ways to go. I know my grandmother, my mom always said that she kind of went crazy at the end and referred to her as being senile back in the day, and used the word Alzheimer's once, but it just wasn't a common diagnosis back then. Well, why don't you tell us about your organization, Memory Matters?
Memory Matters was formed back in 1997 as a small group respite program, a half-day daycare program to provide some relief for family care partners. And they did that by means of a daycare. And over the years, they added a day here and a day there, and pretty soon we're 5 days a week, full days, and we have several support groups. We have a male support group, a female support group, a mixed gender support group, and we also have a transitions group for those family members who have lost their loved ones, and it's more of a bereavement group. We also do an early memory loss program for those with a new diagnosis or who are in the very beginning stages of whatever type of dementia they might have. And that is designed so that they can be proactive. They can be helped along the journey from a very early point in making decisions regarding their care and being proactive about keeping their brain active, and in having some support away from family so that they can express their deepest concerns without feeling like they're burdening their family members. So that's a relatively new initiative. And then we also have a community-wide program called Brain Boosters, which is a 10-week class for anybody in the community, whether or not you have dementia or any kind of cognitive impairment. And it's based on a brain health, brain fitness. And so that's a 10-week class that we do as well. So our latest initiative is to join that global Purple Angel Project, and we're very honored to be part of a global initiative with that.
What attracted you to
create a dementia-friendly community?
Yeah, what attracted you to the Purple Angel Project?
Well, if truth be told, I was sitting in the doctor's office one day and I saw a teeny tiny blurb about Alzheimer's Speak and a Dementia-Friendly Initiative, but it was just this little couple sentences, and I thought, well, what is that? And when I got back to the office, I started Googling and learning a little bit more, and I thought, well, my gosh, this is a brilliant concept. Why shouldn't we be part of it, And so for the last year and a half, we've just been really doing a lot of research on how we can implement this in our community and really take a leadership position in South Carolina to spread this initiative. It just makes such good sense to have the churches and the businesses and the retail outlets and everybody trained on what it's like to deal with people that have dementia, to better serve them, to be more user-friendly, to create a more welcoming community, for people with dementia and their caregivers, and to really, let them feel supported. So we really took that idea and we just decided to kind of make it our own in a way, too. And we're a beach community, we're a tourist community, and we want the tourists to know as well that we're part of this. So we're asking people to fly the Purple Angel kite, which is kind of a takeoff, a little localizing of the concept. And we've done a lot of homework, we've done a lot of research and laying the groundwork, and we actually started going out into the community in January, and we've already done 14 businesses, which is great. And we're expanding that. We're going to be doing our fire department, our library, our local phone company, and we're just so blessed and so honored to be part of it.
Oh, that is fantastic that you're getting out there in the community, and it's just such a huge need. The little blurb you probably saw was on the Watertown initiative, which was kind of the first one in the in the U.S. here, but came from the U.K. and the U.K. has just been so gracious at sharing their concepts. I brought over the memory cafes about 3 years ago that they just handed over to and said, here, take it and go, And there we have over 100 of them now in the U.S. And one of the things that I like, and I don't know if it was appealing to you when you were looking at your initiative, but they don't have this kind of bed in a box type mentality in terms of it has to be done one way, but they just feel that each community and each business is unique in and of its own, and so they give people the freedom to really tackle raising awareness and educating people to what's really going to work, instead of trying to say, there's a magic bullet to fix this problem.
I agree.
Yeah.
They have been just most helpful in sharing information, but no real template or you have to do it this way, because every community is very different. And I think that you have to consider your own demographics and you have to consider your own business community, and if you can customize it or add to it or make it better or keep it simple, the flexibility of what you can do is amazing and very helpful, because some small rural communities might not have the resources to go full bore, but they may be able to do it one little step at a time. So I'm just delighted that we can be part of this, and as you say, they're most helpful over in the UK.
Yeah, they really, and all of this was started with a man with dementia, and to me that makes it even a more incredible story. That he, a man with dementia started the movement with no budget. This is all basic volunteerism, at its core, and truly collaboration for the greater good. And I think sometimes that gets lost in business, especially here in the U.S. Everyone's trying to do their own thing, and when we can share kind of like dementia is the umbrella for many different types of symptoms, and the purple angel is kind of the global symbol for all different types of initiatives, and how that pops up, we don't know. We have people writing songs and doing plays and making movies, and then we have organizations like yours who are really out there, trying to educate the public, and things like Act on Alzheimer's here in Minnesota, and there's a bunch of grassroots efforts. Wisconsin's got a huge movement on. In fact, I'm going out there mid-month. They're doing a half-day intensive on becoming dementia friendly, and it's going to be fun to see all of the things that Wisconsin has done, because they've really have a nice setup, but are pretty creative too. And one of the things, one of the gals who's kind of leading the pack there in Wisconsin, I remember meeting her at the kickoff we did for the Watertown one, and she said, how did you do this? And I said, we just kept it simple. And she's like, well, how? And I said, we just stopped trying to pretend that we had all the answers, knowing that we were going to have to ebb and flow and change as we go. And it's just better to get started and, align with people that believe we need change. And that's really as simple as it gets, because we are going to have to change things. I mean, you're going to walk into one business one day where it's like, oh, we haven't covered that, but this is a need, and you'll probably tackle it, and because that's how we make progress, instead of trying to force something down somebody's throat that isn't a match, and
Absolutely.
How have businesses responded to you kind of knocking on their door and talking about this?
Well, it's interesting because we thought that it was going to be a more difficult sell, if you will, but once we go to the decision maker in the business and say, hey, this is a retirement community. 1 in 8 baby boomers are expected to develop Alzheimer's disease or some form of dementia. We are, and they're flooding from the north, down to this retirement community, and our demographics are that we are an aging community. This is going to impact your business, and we all love the quality of life that we have here, and this is just going to make our community even better and improve the quality of life for all residents. And when we just explain what we want to do, provide their employees with free sensitivity training that will improve their customer service, give their employees more confidence, enable the employer to even recognize, perhaps they have employees who have some sort of mild cognitive impairment and to be more supportive with them. Or perhaps they have care partners who are struggling trying to go to work and be a caregiver. So it really opens their eyes to how much of this is in our community. And it's been a very, very surprising reaction for me personally. I thought it would be very difficult to get into some of these businesses, but it's not. I mean, we're knocking on people's doors, and they are opening the door as wide as can be, saying, yes, we want to be on board. We want to be part of this. And we are blessed. We are blessed. And I'm sure we'll, run into some businesses that, are resistant. But so far, we've had 100% of the people that we have approached say, yeah, we want to be on board. When can we get started? Mm-hmm. So it's been great. We've done a couple of churches. We've done our local community foundation that works with other nonprofits, and we've done a couple of healthcare related agencies and an insurance company. And when you think of, like what I said to the insurance company, Lori, was, what are the issues that you see with people mm-hmm. that you suspect have dementia in your business? And she said, well, non-payment of premiums. And I said, oh, okay. Well, what happens when they don't pay their premiums? Tell me about that. And she said, well, the policies get canceled. And I said, mm-hmm. oh, okay. So what you're saying is that they forget to write the checks, and then the policy gets canceled, and then, God forbid, the stove gets left on and the house burns down, and that's when they find out that they don't have insurance, if they're living alone. Mm-hmm. And, because here, because it is a retirement community, most of the people here have moved from someplace else, mostly up, in New England or the Midwest, and retired here. So those lifelong friends and their kids and their cousins and their nieces and nephews and sisters and brothers who you rely on, they're somewhere else. So most of these people are living here either with their spouse or they're now widowed. And so there's not that strong community connection where people saying, hey, everything going okay? I'm coming over to check on you. They have friends and acquaintances, but not those strong familial ties. So I asked this person in the insurance company, and I said, well, would you call them and say, hey, you haven't paid your premium, what's the problem? And they said, oh, no. And I said, well, what if you were to just implement a simple solution? For example, anybody over the age of 50 that you write a policy for, you automatically request a secondary contact that you have permission to contact in the event that you suspect that, it's a simple case where they're forgetting to pay their premiums. And she went, oh, well, that's an easy fix. So, being able to just talk to these businesses and say, how can we make it easier for these people? How can we be more supportive of them? How can we, mm-hmm. Make your business a little more user-friendly? And they've been so receptive. It's just amazing. And a lot of it is common sense, but it's not in their manual. It's not in how they do business right now. So if we can, alert them to what dementia might look like, how you could be more supportive and welcoming and keep those customers and really support that family a little bit better, it's just been received very well.
Mm-hmm. Well, that is wonderful. Have you gotten any stories from people with dementia on what their thought is about this initiative in their community?
Oh, they are thrilled. We had one family member actually tell us that the owner of this little mom and pop restaurant asked her to not bring her husband in anymore because it was disruptive to have him in the restaurant. And she was just blown away. And so we started talking to all of our families about their experiences as they go out and try to maintain a sense of normalcy in their lives by continuing to go to restaurants or do their banking or shopping, etc. And this was truly the catalyst for us getting involved with the Dementia Friendly Initiative, because if I go out to dinner with my husband, for example, and I have a bad experience, I just don't go back to that particular restaurant. But if I were a care partner trying to maintain some normalcy and go out and have lunch or whatever, and had one bad experience after another, a wait staff rolling their eyes because they're impatient, it's taking too long to take the order, or, overhearing a clerk say, you wait on him because he's weird, those kinds of experiences, you tend to withdraw, and you say it's not worth it, and you become even more isolated than you were before. So from the input that we gleaned from our family members and their real-life experiences, we said, oh, gosh, we've got to do this. There's just no question about it at all. If we can at least raise that awareness, help to reduce the stigma, give employees a little more confidence about what they're seeing. For example, if someone is shuffling and appears a little confused, they may not be drunk. Guess what? They may have dementia. And just educate the community as a whole. Everybody wins. The businesses maintain that business. The family members still know that, hey, they've got a purple angel in their window. I know that they will be more supportive of my needs here. So it's a win-win. The stories that we hear all the time are disturbing and sad, truly. And so we want to change that. And not all businesses are negative, but all it takes is one bad apple to ruin the whole basket.
Yep, that's for sure. That is for sure. Well, and it's just it's just one of those things where people deserve to be able to live well. They deserve to be able to be out in their community and live well and participate and give back, and we're missing a lot of those opportunities. And I think by creating this environment, you're just going to raise the bar, and hopefully more and more people will join up over time. Now, have you gotten much interest from churches at all, or?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, we just did a training this weekend for a church. We started with the pastor and his pastoral staff, and we did a training for his secretary and their basic staff, and then they expanded and said, well, gosh, we would like all of our volunteers to take the training as well. So we had 37 people on Saturday, and it was all of their ushers and their greeters and the people that work, trying to park the cars and hand out the missiles and all of those kinds of volunteers. So, the churches are very interested, which is great because that's a real lifeline for families. That where it's a place where they should feel extremely supported. And treated with dignity and treated with respect. And, the churches are a great place to start.
Yep. Well, and they just have such I mean, they've got a base. They've got a community already set up. And so it's just such
Yep.
a natural. I know that I'm hearing more and more churches wanting to get involved, and which is great. And but so many are saying, we can't even start maybe like a memory cafe until we're trained, because our pastoral staff and our general staff need to be educated first, before we can, build a support group, because a lot of them are very interested in the memory cafes as well. But they're really starting to realize that they need help in this process, and in terms of how do they remove the fear of the congregation. In and of itself, because I've had many stories, and I'm sure you've heard them too, where people just don't go to church anymore because they don't feel welcomed, they don't feel accepted, they feel shunned, or the family feels shunned because somebody might not dress or talk or look the way that they used to. They're starting to get the eyeballs rolling and kind of the side comments and stuff, and it's very uncomfortable, and people think, that would never happen in church, but it happens everywhere,
It does. It does.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
It's fear of the unknown. It's not understanding, and so you want to address that knowledge and educate people. Our organization started in a church. And interesting side note, there were a handful of parishioners who really recognized that there were other people in their church community who were truly struggling caring for their family members, and they put their heads together and they learned about the seed grants that are available through the Brookdale Foundation to start little respite programs. And so that's how our organization started, in a church through a seed grant from the Brookdale Foundation. And then as the need grew and expanded, we were adding a day here and adding a day there, but that particular church couldn't accommodate us in the parish hall 5 days a week, so we approached a different church. And then a different church. And pretty soon we were in 5 different churches, all different denominations, and we found that the churches were a great place to start in terms of providing care but of course, when you introduce that concept to the senior staff at the church, you want to be able to really explain to them that it's their parishioners, it's other people in the community, and they have an opportunity to really do a mission outreach program by starting a cafe or a little daycare, and usually we found a great deal of support here locally through the churches.
Well, and that's nice. And when you talk about mission, I think so many times both we hear with churches and we hear with our government, the mission is in another country. But we have so many
exactly
needs right here in our own backyard.
That's very true, Lori. And that's and it's a great mission. Our elders need to have the support. I used to kid around that if you were as a nonprofit, we're always competing with other nonprofits because that's the way of the world for donor support and grants and things like that. And I always used to kid around and say, gosh, we don't have kids and dogs. All we're trying to do is support our senior citizens and our elders who are vulnerable and who also need help. And I think that, our society doesn't value our seniors as some other cultures do. And that, I hope, is changing. But traditionally, it's the young and the vibrant people that just keep plugging along, and our seniors become kind of invisible, which is too bad.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is, because they're such a power base. And one of my biggest missions with this whole deal is removing the stigmas and the myths, but even more so with that, it's to really top that off and show the blessings in illness. Which is kind of people look at me and go, blessings in illness, and it's like, but I have received so many gifts through my mom's journey that have been such powerful life lessons on how to live, what to appreciate, just how to live your life more simply and feel more complete and more peaceful. I think people are really missing that peaceful piece. And not having to control, because you can't control dementia. And you hear that over and over. When you've met one person with dementia, you've met one person with dementia. When you've met one care partner, you've met one care partner, because we're all wired different and we all react different in different environments or at different times of the day. And a person with dementia is no different in many, many ways than any of us. But we try to put people in these little boxes and go, oh no, they're really different. They're really different than me. And it's like, not so much. They might have some problems in certain areas.
No, not so much at all.
At certain times, but they still feel everything. And to me, that was one of the biggest gifts with dementia. Was it got me, and I've always been kind of a touchy-feely type person, but on a deeper level, it really made me appreciate how connected we are, how powerful each of us are in terms of affecting one another's lives. And I think in this fast-paced world, we forget our impact on one another. And once you get in touch with that, you just live your life differently. You're more conscious on how you care and how you react to things, and how you prioritize things. And to me, I don't think I would have gotten that depth of learning without this disease. And it's something it's something I'd like to teach small children, so they don't have to wait till they're 50 years old, to learn these lessons for their 50s.
And intergenerational programming, I think, is just so important. For our organization, and I highly recommend it for anybody who's doing any work with dementia, because children, when they are interacting with elders, there is such love, there is such simple acceptance, and on both parts, both the adult and the children, you can step back and you can actually watch them live in the moment. Yep. And isn't that what is so precious about dementia, frankly? Those people that suffer from dementia live in the moment. They may not have their past and they have an uncertain future, but they are alive and well and caring, and they bring a rich heritage and a background and life experience, and they are able to interact with kids without any hesitation. And you look and you say, children are like that because they don't have all the baggage and the judgment and the stigma and all of those things. These are just like their grandparents. And I love intergenerational programming with people with dementia, because it's real. We try to partner with schools here, and like a kindergarten class will come over on Valentine's Day, for example, and sing, dance, do art projects, etc. And it's just heartwarming to see the interaction, because most of our folks, as I explained before, their grandkids are someplace else up north. They moved away. So when we can provide interaction with children, it's amazing. It's amazing. We should all model our behavior after these little 5 and 6 years old kids that just accept them for who they are and meet them where they are. And that's what I tell our families all the time. Don't try to make your loved one come to you in terms of dialogue or explanations or what needs to be done or what doesn't need to be done, because they can't. The only person you have control over is yourself. And if you can meet them where they are and find joy in that moment, it is such a gift. It is such a gift. As you were saying, it's life-altering. When you experience that, yes, the relationship is different than it used to be, but that doesn't mean that it's bad.
No,
it's just different.
Well, and this is a disease that teaches us how to love unconditionally. And I did not know until I got on this journey what unconditional love really was. And I didn't realize how many levels of unconditional love that there were either. I thought, well, you love your child unconditionally. But you love your child unconditionally even more if they're ill. Same with your parent. And as the disease progressed, I just kept finding these deeper depths of love. And it was absolutely incredible to observe and sit back and when you have that unconditional love, when you feel that safe and that comfortable, I mean, there's nothing like it. There's just nothing that can compare.
I agree. I think it's a true gift, and it's a journey of self-discovery as well as a discovery about the other person. And it takes your relationship to a level that is deeper, is more spiritual almost. Everybody thinks of it as, a journey of loss, but it can be a gift, as you said, and for those lucky enough to realize that and to really explore that opportunity, it is a blessing. The disease has robbed you. There's no question about that, and there are multiple victims, not just the person with dementia. The whole family is affected. But you can have some hopeful moments and joyful moments, and the unconditional love. It lifts your spirit to a higher plane because of who you are and what you're doing for that person that you love. And
exactly.
Caregiving is hard work, but it also has its rewards. I remember when I first got in this field, I said to one of our family members something about caregiving is a burden of love or something. I used the word burden, and I was corrected immediately. And she said, it is not a burden. It is not a labor. It is my gift to my Father. And I thought to myself at that point, yes, you are right. And there are people who do look at it as a burden, but boy, you've got it right. And then I started looking at every family member through a different set of lenses. And I try to encourage that, just find joy in the moment, meet them where they are, love them unconditionally, and your life will be enriched, And some people really do live that way, and it's just it's a joy to see, truthfully.
Yeah. We've got a caller on the line who is just a fabulous woman. I don't know if you know her or not, but we have Lisa Hirsch on the line. And Lisa has been on a journey with her own mother for quite some time. So welcome, Lisa. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Great.
Hello?
Well, Thanks for calling in today, Lisa. We might have a little delay. We have a major snowstorm here in Minnesota, and this is all web-based, so sometimes that can affect connections a little bit. But why don't you tell people a little bit about, a little background about yourself, and I think this conversation is probably just perfect for everything that you do with your mom as well.
Well, that's why I wanted to intervene, get in with the two of you, because both of you said things that for me really touched home, and for me, out of my situation, I felt unconditionally in love with my mother after she became ill. So, like what you said, Laura, I couldn't take the illness away from her, which I would in 2 seconds, but in some ways it's hard to say it was a blessing, but it gave me a second chance in my life to love, adore my mother unconditionally. So it opened doors for me and a compassion within me, not only to her, but my husband will say he feels to other people, especially to more elders. But I had the opportunity to. I'm a long distance caregiver, and I went to see my mom for the month of January, and I was with her every single day, which now I'm like confused about what to do, and I know what's best for her, but it's like I really just want to be able to see her all the time, and I can't. But while I was at the nursing home, and my husband was with me, and he's like a very supportive, compassionate person anyway. It was amazing just walking by all the other people that you think are not aware that you're there, that are in different stages of dementia, and how saying hello to them and doing it every single day, how you saw them become momentarily more connected, more alive, whether it's a smile or they whispered back hello, but there was an acknowledgement. So that also, like, really, we both came back with a different sense of self out of that experience. Before, when I would go and I'd be with my mom just for a few days, I would say hello to people, but it wasn't on a continuous basis that it really, I feel, made some kind of impact on them.
Mhm. It is
one
interesting.
other thing, though. One other thing connected to this whole thing. So I belong to an adult support group at the Alzheimer Association, and when I was sharing coming back from seeing my mom, someone in my group had said to me, "You're very lucky that you feel this way." And what came up for me were there were two people that left my group because the parent had passed away, and they stayed on a little bit after, and then they decided it was time for them to leave. And what I realized for me is for them, their mother was their best friend. And so when their mother got dementia and they became more and more, their relationship shifted from being able to talk to their mother every day on a normal basis and share things about their life, that they felt that they were robbed of their mother. And I looked at it where I came from. I loved my mother, but we weren't that close. I spoke to my mother once a week only because that's what I should do, not. So I saw a shift when someone also is so close, which was kind of interesting for me to observe that.
Mhm. Do you see some of that in talking with people that you work with, Eddie?
I do. The dynamics within a family are so interesting because they last for decades. And, whether you have a good relationship with that person or a strained relationship with that person, all of a sudden, some people who have, like the woman you just spoke about, Lisa, it is a loss because, oh gosh, mom has been a daily part of my life and we have a great relationship. But I've also seen adult children who were estranged from a parent because of abuse, neglect, and even physical violence suddenly find dad, affected by Alzheimer's, and it was a real emotional decision to step back into their lives to provide care. And I can think of three adult females who actually did that despite being abused by their fathers, all their lives. The dads, got Alzheimer's disease, and in all three cases, the daughter stepped in and provided amazing care. And their universal comments were, I can now have a relationship with him that is healthy, where I can love him and he can love me. There's no fear. He can't hurt me, and I can have the relationship that I never had with my dad. So I think it's so interesting because every family is different, and you bring those lifelong family dynamics, whether they're good or they're bad, into this journey with you. And again, through love and through compassion and empathy, you have an opportunity to say, it's time to forgive, or it's time to walk away, and many people do that too, but hopefully, the empathy and the compassion win out. But those dynamics do change, and it's not always a bad thing.
Yep. Yeah, they do. And some people, it takes, sometimes the disease can push them apart, and sometimes it can really pull people together. I've heard many times people say, I wish this was the parents I had growing up, because they're compassionate, they're and then there's others where they're angry and mad, and just like everything else, there isn't a set format with any of this.
Right.
But you know what, Lori, I think you just hit on something else also. My mom, I actually went to see Still Alice over the weekend, which I had read the book and loved it, and I thought the movie really was really good. Obviously, I listened and connected to someone having a family member with the disease, even though it wasn't early onset. But my comment, my husband and I, after we talked about it at the end, and it wasn't with Still Alice, but that we've been very lucky. My mom has never had an aggression, and she's been like, I don't know if you could get nicer. I mean, I think that she really was this way, but there were cover-ups in her personality, out of whatever happens to us in our lives that affects us. But she never, I'm lucky because some people that are sweet as could be become agitated with this disease and reach out in a way that's non-becoming. In my mom's case, it's like she became this, she walks around the nursing home and just tells everyone how much she loves them. Not that she didn't show warmth before, but it is different.
It's a different level, and I think it just comes freer, and it's more appreciative. It's just, my mom went through with her disease. I mean, she was always very organized, very loving, very caring, very compassionate, but she could put the hammer down too when you weren't doing something right. But for the most part, I mean, I could tell my mom anything, and she was just always very compassionate. And then with the disease, she went through her angry mode where she was really mad at everyone and didn't understand everything that was going on. There was that paranoid state, which was probably the toughest stage for us as a family. And then once she got through that, it was just like this loving small child, innocent, grateful person appeared. And one of the things I tell people when I speak is that one of the biggest gifts, and like I said, the list is just long and massive that I've learned through this disease, but I got to see my mom as a child. That's kind of how I look at it, because I didn't see that real playful side. And oh my gosh, what a gift. And then it made me realize that I as an adult had lost my playfulness too. You become an adult and there's things to do, and you have your responsibilities and your task lists, and all of a sudden you're serious. I mean, you're really serious about living life. And not that I wouldn't laugh and have fun, but there's a difference in terms of just letting yourself out of the cage once in a while to have fun, or really living life brilliantly with joy. And I think that's what so many with dementia learn to embrace, that life's too short, and if they're going to be here, they want to enjoy it. And so they're brilliant examples to the rest of us to not take things so seriously, and to let go of control, learn to be more spontaneous, and live more simply. And I think they're just brilliant at brilliant examples for the rest of us.
Well, and as you're saying everything that you're saying, and I'm thinking of my relationship with my mother, I really do get the other side of the like the women that I was speaking about. They happen to be single mothers, divorced, and their mothers played such an important role in their lives about their children, being a single mother, whatever they went through, that when the disease hit, it did take them away. So I mean I could really appreciate that side of it also, and they've filled with more anger about the disease and being able to, like you and I, and there are others, can look at it in a lighter way. Like, right, I find what my mother says, I come from like what she says is cute and funny, and like when she didn't know, one day I get to the nursing home and she says to me, I'm looking all over for my little girl, and could you go get her? She needs clothes. A woman, a child that I'm mentioning, that could have been so close to another, gets a pang in their heart. For me, I found it so innocent and sweet. So it's. I mean, I think that I'm lucky that, because if you ask me how I would have held and happened with this, I don't know, but I feel I'm really lucky that I'm able to find and feel all the sweetness and the innocence out of it with her, which is what you're saying.
Yep. And it doesn't come overnight. It's a journey, and it's not that you can't be upset or can't feel great grief. But I think, again, I think one of the lessons too that I've learned with this disease is that all emotions are okay. It's just how I react to them.
Right.
But that they're normal, and you can't always be upbeat and positive. You can't always be down. I mean, it's not healthy to be on either side of the pendulum all the time.
Right.
You do need to have some balance there.
Trust me, I have my moments, but yes, yes,
yeah,
for sure.
Well, I appreciate you calling in. You always add a lot to our show, Lisa, and you're just doing brilliant work. You want to go ahead and give a plug for your book and your blog?
Okay. My book's available on Amazon as an ebook, a book, and also if there's an audio that's fabulous. My Mom, My Hero. So you just have to type that into Amazon. And my blog is mommyhero@blogspot.com.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Lisa. Appreciate you
Thanks.
adding your thoughts.
Thanks for having me.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Okay. Have a good day. Bye.
You too.
Bye, Lisa.
She just does such great work and has helped so many people out, and that's kind of her Dementia Friendly Initiative, is through writing and speaking with people. She's changed a lot of people's lives and perspectives. So I'm so excited about the work that you're doing. And do you have any long range goals for creating your Dementia Friendly community?
Well, actually, yes, we do. Our goal this year is to train at least 50 businesses, and next year be able to do even more. And long range, we want to also include the schools and even some of the colleges, and to be able to really do it community-wide, not just businesses per se, but everybody
Yep.
in the community. So we want it to be universal, and we know it's going to take a little legwork and some effort, but we're building a collaboration and a coordinated community response to dementia, and we just want to make sure that the entire community is engaged.
Well, great. If there's anybody out there that has any questions, feel free, to go ahead and utilize the chat box or call in at 714-364-4757. Again, that's 714-364-4757. We would love to hear what you have to say or any questions that you have as well. Anything else that you wanted to talk about with your organization, Memory Matters, that you think the public needs to know about?
Well, I was thinking when Lisa was on the phone how important it is for family members to connect with one another, to share that experience and to share their knowledge and what they have experienced in terms of their own journeys, and how there are similarities and they can support one another. And we were really blessed by a core group of our family care partners who decided that they wanted to give anyone a chance to share in writing, poetry, anecdotes, little humorous stories, essays, etc., and publish a book. And they wanted to be able to provide a forum for people to express themselves. And so we are in the process of publishing a book. We've gotten so many interesting photographs and artwork and poems and anecdotes. One little funny one that keeps coming to mind is one of a caregiver had broken her leg, and she had a cast from the tip of her toe to her thigh, and consequently could not walk on it at first. They hadn't put the little boot thing on. And so her husband, who was in moderate stages of Alzheimer's disease at the time, was pushing her wheelchair down the street, and she had the dog on the leash, and they were taking the dog for a walk around the neighborhood, he pushing her in the chair. And they got back home, and he spotted their front door and just simply walked away from her and went in the house. Well, she was on the street, not on the sidewalk, and couldn't navigate how to get back on the curb. And so she's got the dog in one hand, and she's trying to go backwards up over the curb and didn't have the upper body strength to be able to do that. And she said it was just like slow motion. She went backwards, boom, landed on her head. And in her essay, she said, in my casted legs stuck up like the mast on a ship. And she was laying there laughing on the ground until one of her neighbors came jogging by and helped her. But it was such a humorous anecdote that she wrote to share that, hey, you know what, you just got to laugh, and that was the name of her essay. So there are so many ways to share these little tidbits of hope and joy and shared experience, and this is just another way for us to be able to connect these people that have all shared their experiences, and we'll be producing this book soon. So that's been a really fun project for me personally.
Oh, and, very exciting.
We're always looking for, isn't it? It's just great. It's just great.
Yeah.
And, our daycare program goes on 5 days a week, and we've got great volunteers. I think the use of volunteers is just so important. There are so many people with rich life experiences. They're musicians, puppeteers, people bring their pets, for pet therapy, artists that can come in and really allow our participants in the daycare to have that creative expression. Sometimes when the aphasia hits and they can't really express themselves with words, a paintbrush in their hands gives them a new way to show what they're feeling, and art is very important. We also do, trivia and news and music and games, and give a social club atmosphere for these folks so that they enjoy the day and they have a reason to get up in the morning and come and visit their friends. We treat everybody with dignity and respect. It's not childish activities at all, and we call it a failure-free zone, where we emphasize their successes, their abilities, not their disabilities, and we really try to create an environment in which they can shine, and it's their club. And, you know, we just get so much joy as staff and volunteers from that. But anybody out there that's working with folks, whether it's church-based or volunteer, tap into your volunteers in your community because they bring a wealth. We could not do what we do without our volunteers here, and it's amazing to me the commitment. And you know, some of them have had family history and others have not, but they all are so committed to working and changing the community and working one-on-one with folks that really value their commitment and support. So I encourage volunteerism at every level.
Okay, yeah, I do too. And
I was just going to say, anybody that wants a little more information about our organization too can go to memory-matters.org and see what we do. But volunteerism is just huge in our community, huge.
Yeah, and that's wonderful that you've got a great support work for volunteering. There's a lot of places that struggle to get people involved, and you know, it's just such a key. You know, we all have to kind of slow down and help out one another, and I think it allows us to live life better, knowing that we've given back. You know, because there's always somebody out there that will reach out a hand to us as individuals if we take the time to realize that's even what's happening. And I think sometimes in this fast-paced world, people don't even know when a hand has been held out, and that really saddens me. And so I love being part of kind of the grassroots effort and the volunteerism. There's just so much heart to it. It's just it's a really cool place to be.
Absolutely, and I think that, you know, sometimes we just make assumptions about what people will or won't do or what they want or don't want, and, you know, we forget to ask. And sometimes all you have to do is ask if somebody would join you or help you or get committed or involved. And the answers are sometimes surprising. It's like, sure. You know, why not? But if you don't ask, you've made a decision for them, haven't you?
Yep.
That's how I look at it. If you don't ask, then you've assumed that they're going to say no. And sometimes, you know, it's very surprising the level of commitment, the amount of compassion and empathy, and the time that people are willing to give to something that they believe in.
Yep, exactly. Well, and the
nurture that.
And the ideas they come up with, you know, of needs in the community. I think, you know, that's one of our biggest mistakes is not asking people, what do you see as the needs? And then, you know, how can you contribute? Because a lot of times people have skills and contacts and resources that we can't even imagine we could tap into. And they have them, you know, right there in their hand, but they don't even know it's okay to offer it up unless we ask, you know. And so
that's right.
The collaboration is just brilliant. And when we look at our volunteers as true collaborators and not just almost like an employee or an assignee to a task, but really as a joint effort collaboration, it just raises the bar in terms of what you can produce too as well. Well, I thank you so much for joining us today, and I think
you're very welcome.
What Memory Matters is doing is absolutely wonderful, and you'll have to keep us posted on your dementia-friendly communities and educational programs. And as you expand, with your Purple Angel project, I think that will be just wonderful. And again, people can get a hold of Memory Matters by going to www.memory-matters.org. Thank you again, Edwina, for joining us today.
Thank you, Lori.
I'm going to go on with the some program highlights, some things that you might want to check out. Our last radio show, we did a 2-hour special on frontal temporal lobe dementia, or known as FTD dementia, and we had everybody from the National Association on board, to doctors, to, of course, someone living with dementia and someone caring for them, as well as a business that is specializing in dealing with this disease. So you can go to Alzheimer Speaks Radio and just look at our archives, and you can listen to that anytime. All of our shows are archived, but I think you'll get a lot of good information there. Our next show, I would really encourage people to participate in. We're going to have Trin Rose Seeley with us, who is just a wonderful, wonderful gal, and we're going to be talking about movie reviews, because there's been a few films out, and not everybody probably knows of all of them. Still Alice and Alive Inside, and I'm Me with Glenn Campbell. But there are some others as well. So join the conversation. We'd love to hear your thoughts. That'll be next Tuesday at 10 a.m. We also had our last Dementia Chats on the 24th, where we discussed a variety of topics, from the Oscars with Still Alice to interactions with doctors to advocacy and more. And again, those are on Alzheimer Speaks website. Again, go to the About page and you'll find the tab for Dementia Chats right there. Our next Dementia Chats, again, which is a free webinar to anybody who wants to attend, will be March 10th at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. That's 2 p.m. Central, 1 o'clock Mountain, 12 o'clock Pacific Time, and 8 o'clock if you're over across the pond in London. This last week, I didn't write a ton of posts, but the one that I did write really got a lot of feedback on, and it was really kind of a fun one to write. It's called Full Circle: The Cycle of Death and Life. And on February 28th, that was the anniversary of my mother's passing after 30 years with dementia, and it really made me kind of take a look at, wow, this time has gone fast without her, and where am I at in terms of dealing with my grief, and what have I learned? And so I just shared that in a post that might be of interest to you. Or if you know of anyone who has lost a loved one, it might help them through the process as well. Well, I'm going to go ahead and sign off at this time. It looks like our snow is subsiding here in Minnesota, which is kind of nice to see it all white outside. We were seeing brown grass for a long time, which is pretty foreign for us in Minnesota in February and March. So I don't think the blizzard portion hit us, but we got freshened up here. But it's supposed to be into the mid 40s by the end of next week. So we'll see what happens with everything. But I look forward to talking to you all next week. And again, feel free to call in anytime and join the conversation or use your chat box. We would absolutely love to hear from you. If you are a person living with dementia, caring for somebody with dementia, or have a business, or maybe you've written a book, a song, have a movie about dementia or caregiving, please reach out to me at Lori@alzheimerspeaks.com, or you can just go to our website, click on the big contact button, shoot me an email. I would love to talk to you. I'm always looking for guests, and everyone is welcome. Have a blessed week, everyone.
Well, hi, I'm Lori LeBay, and I wanted to tell you about Alzheimer Speaks, which is another great podcast. You see, my own mother lived with dementia for 30 years, and I felt lost. Did you know every 3 seconds someone in the world is being diagnosed with dementia? odds are it's going to hit your families too. We want to help you connect to services, products, tools, research, and stories so you can be prepared. Please subscribe to Alzheimer's Speaks on your favorite podcast platform.